Okay. So I'm Ashley.
I am Giselle Prescott.
Um, so I guess do we want to just go every other question? So I'll ask the first question and then we can kind of discuss it and then go from there.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Okay. So the first question: what doctrine in Wilbur's heart drove him to advocate? Why is the doctrine of the family so important to have in your heart? To be passionate and persistent. Um, okay. So I guess just what I wrote down was so in Wilberforce's heart, he had a moral duty to do what's right. Um, I don't know, just thinking back at the beginning of the movie and how he stopped the carriage to help the horse that his owners were beating because it wouldn't do what it wanted him to do, and um, so I guess he had the duty to do what was right in all situations. It didn't matter who or what. Um, I guess was being affected. He was doing the right thing. So, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't even remember the carriage. I guess we're all affected differently, but I think that what drove him um, to advocate was his belief that all men were created equal,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're all created equal, then they all should be free.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked towards that goal of having all men free because they are all created equal. And
Yeah.
I guess in our hearts, it is um, important to be passionate and persistent about it. Um, because when we love something, we're moved to action, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And when others see our love for it, or passion, and everything, I think they also become, how can I put this? Um, it's gonna sound bad, but I mean in a good way, infected by it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Let's see.
and others
Um.
will want to join us, and you know, and yeah,
Okay. Um. Let's see. Okay. So another thing that I have for like the doctrine of Wilber's heart is that he knew that there was a bigger plan. So I guess kind of also in the movie he talks about how um, like I guess he had a purpose, so he knew that there was something greater that he needed to do, and um, that he wasn't going to stop until it was done. Um, so I don't know. So looking at like the bigger picture and not just having a small like mindset that oh like it's not that important. Like he looked at the big picture and how he fit into all of it. Um, and so I don't know. I feel like that played a part in helping him to continue advocating for um, the abolition and everything. And so yeah.
you know what
Mm-hmm.
you were saying this is that he was definitely committed, and I think he was committed because of his love of God. He wanted to obey God that much, and he loved his children like a Christ person, so he wanted that freedom for them. So I was gonna make a comment about his part, but I just forgot it. I'm terrible. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Um.
You want, so should I ask the next one, or should we keep on going?
Um. Let's see. Do we want to talk about like? Let's see. Um. I guess the second part of that question is why is the doctrine of the family so important to have in your heart? I guess we kind of already talked about that. And like you said, that if you have that passion and in your heart, then other people will see that and be affected by it. Yeah. I guess we can go on to the next question then.
Okay, I'll go ahead and ask it. How did Wilbur employ a theoretical from, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but from Rosenbrenner approach to become a more effective advocate? Identify at least one thing in each system and be specific. So from the microsystem, I thought, about his household and how he treated everyone in his household as an equal. So in this way, he was being an example that he actually did believe that all men were created equal. He was kind to everybody. He wouldn't even turn away the beggars. Did all he could for others that had not been as blessed in his life as he had been. For the method system, I wrote down that that time that he was playing cards with his peers, and then the really short guy, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was trying to make the bet with the slave, and Wilbur was like, "No, I am not gonna bet with a man's life, And I was thinking that was really interesting because to me it's like, well, if your hand is really good and you're sure you're gonna win, you can accept the bet and free the slave, once you win him, But to him it was that the principle, that on a way placing that bet meant that to some degree he was admitting that this man was below him because he could play with his life, and then ecosystem. He took people from the neighborhoods in the city, um, and then took them to the sheep, so they could experience that smell, the odor. So he was educating them about the evils of slavery, and in more ways than that. For market systems, well, he obviously, because of his job, he tried to pass laws prohibiting slavery year after year, until he finally saw that there was a better way from the idea of the lawyer, you know, um, to just blindside the other side. So what were your answers?
Okay, so for the microsystem, I just talked about how he was an advocate even like to his friends and his family. So his family like knew where he stood, and like the William Pitt, so his friend that became the prime minister, he talked to him about his views and his beliefs and advocated to him, and so he didn't let his friends or family influence like what he believed in and stuff like that. And then for the mesosystem, I really like how you brought up that poker game, because I had also thought about that too. I'm like, well, if he can win, like, wouldn't it be better to just win and then he can, let let that man go, and and then he won't be in that situation anymore. But I really like how you said, and it made sense that it's the principle. It's the principle that every man's life is priceless, and everyone is created equal, and so to do that would be wrong. And the thing that I talked about with the mesosystem is that he met with Equiano and the Thomas Clarkson, and he just got I guess he got educated on like the different things that happened with the slave trade, and he became knowledgeable so that he could talk about those issues in Parliament. So he would be more persuasive and have a better argument because he knew what he was talking about. For the exosystem, I put that he spoke on several occasions in the Parliament because every time they had a Parliament meeting, he would always speak. Like, no matter what, he would always say something and be like, "Hey, this is wrong." And it didn't matter how many people were arguing against him, he was always like, hey, this is wrong, like, we need to fix this. Then for the macro system, so I just put he battled the culture of a nation, and how in the movie I think, or is at the beginning of the movie, how it talks about the slave trade in Britain and um, how that was so, like, it was key to building up Britain, and he was basically opposing that culture that they had, I guess, kind of adapted. And so, I don't know, so he just started out small with his family, and then eventually, as he's going up through Parliament and everything, he's trying to change all of these people's minds. So, yeah. This is the next question. How did Wilbur and his fellow advocates do and share their research? What evidence did they provide to persuade those opposing or on the fence? So, I guess I'll go. But a couple things that I had down is they had the petition. So, with the Parliament, they got all these signatures together of who opposed slavery and showed it to Parliament, and so doing their research that way and just said, hey, like, not everyone else agrees with this. There's a great number of people that don't believe this is the right thing to do. And also, like you said, with the ship, how he took those people past it and just like, hey, this is what death smells like, and this is not right, and this is something that we need to fight against. So he also talked with the Ihuiano and got more knowledge and different stuff like that. So he talked with I think his name was John, the guy that worked in the church, and he talked with him and just got kind of talked with him of how to fight what was going on and everything, and yeah. And then I thought it was interesting that because in a part of the movie, his friend, the William Pitt guy, said that they had found letters addressed to Thomas Jefferson about abolition. And I just think that was interesting. Like, he went to many different sources. He didn't just, stick with the close group of friends. He, like, searched everywhere and got more information and kind of more of a variety. And I don't know. It just kind of made me think of truth will be truth, like, everywhere. It doesn't matter where you find truth, because it is truth, and so it will be right all the time. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so mainly that research he brought, that they didn't end up 20%. I was shocked, like, at how many signatures they got. I was like, that is a lot of work. And like, I was wondering, if after educating people, they would probably ask them, well, do you want to sign this petition now? Let me know, And I think, to me, I was like, oh, that is very effective, Like, it wouldn't have occurred to me to do it that way. I would have just been like, you want to sign this petition, But
yeah.
you covered that one very well, so I don't have much to add there.
Yeah, I guess something that I just remembered from the petitions is I thought it was interesting how that one guy, I don't remember his name, but he just said, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but just the gist is the people's voice doesn't matter, and that they are in Parliament and they're in the government, and so they're in charge. And so that, like, kind of, like, scared me. It's just like, as a government, you should be for the people, because that is who you're over and who you advocate for. And so having, like, the best interest for the people should be the number one priority. Obviously, they didn't have that mindset.
Yeah, and it bothered me too, Lulu was extremely offended, and he was like, the people will not be silent, And that's what we have to work on too, but, in a way, what's happening in our government too. I mean, what happened here in California with Proposition 8, when it passed, and then the judges decided that it wasn't constitutional. If it wasn't constitutional, then what even put it to a vote? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because a few months ago in Utah, something kind of similar happened. There were some things that were passing on gay rights, and the people voted, and then the government stepped in and said, "Oh no, that's not constitutional. So, like, your vote basically doesn't matter, and we're changing it and doing it this way." And I don't know, that just kind of, to me, that's scary. If the people that represent us aren't going to, I don't know, listen and, follow because they are representing the people. And so if they're just doing what they want, like, I feel like it's more of a power thing than actually advocating for the family.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does the film portray the importance of working together as a group? I had family advocacy group work taught you. I would have to say that to me what it has taught me is that unity is strength. There is safety in numbers and there is strength in numbers. But if you don't have unity among those numbers, things can go south because people don't work together well. So many people working together, united towards a common good, can accomplish much more, better, and faster than a single individual trying to do it all. It has family advocacy group has taught me that we also have to exploit our strengths, and the strengths of those around us that are involved. In a way, we have to put our humility aside, instead of, being like shy about what we know, about the things that we know we can do well. We say, okay, this is what I can do, this is what I can do well, and this is how I can be best effective in this issue, and advocating for it, and go on the way.
Yeah. Along with that, with like group, I guess with group advocacy, one thing that I thought about is it like helps people stay positive. So if you're kind of working by yourself and things like don't go how you want them to, I don't know, I feel like it would be a lot more disheartening, and it would be harder to stay positive because you're just like, oh, if I'm the only one and nobody else cares, like how much of a difference can I really make? But as a group, I don't know, you have others to help like support you and know that you're fighting for the same cause. And so when things don't go well, then you'll have people to be like, it's okay, we didn't get this one, but we still needed to keep trying. And so you kind of, I don't know, have that positive reinforcement to keep trying and not to give up. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
What you mentioned, that support system, is very important because I can only imagine if you wouldn't have had that support from others, how much more difficult it would have been. I think it does weigh on you and can even destroy you if you don't have a support system, so
Yeah.
to your psyche, it does make a big difference.
Okay, so the next question, what parallels do you see between Wilbur and Captain Moroni and Alma 46? What is a Christian and professional family advocate, and how did Wilbur exemplify that? How can you be effective and Christ-like against such loud and often degrading voices? Okay, so the parallels that I saw between Wilbur and Captain Moroni, where they kind of had the same goals. in a way. So when I thought of Wilbur, I guess I kind of thought of the Constitution, how everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I feel like that was a big part of what Wilbur believed and fought for. And so, kind of paralleled with Captain Moroni, he had the title of Liberty, which, and he said, in memory of our God, religion, and freedom, and our peace, our wives, and our children. And so I feel like those go hand in hand, and, essentially they're fighting for the same things. Because they're fighting for the safety and well-being of those around them. Also, something that I noticed the parallels were Wilbur and Captain Moroni kept fighting. So even as people like opposed them and didn't believe what they did, they kept fighting for what they knew was right. Um, yeah. So and then the Christian professional advocate. So I guess kind of what like my definition, I guess, for that would be standing for truth at all times, and having integrity. So not going with the flow or just doing what's convenient. And standing for those who can't stand for themselves, and just thinking of the health and family advocacy, especially child advocacy. A lot of times, like children can't speak for themselves, and so we as advocates have to do that. And so, as Christian and professional advocates, that's our duty to stand for those who can't stand for themselves. I guess another attribute would be being knowledgeable about the issues. So knowing both sides, so you have, better argument, you can get more information, and also being kind and polite but bold. That's what I have.
Okay, so those were really good ones. Yeah, like I felt that Wilbur and Captain Moroni, they were both fighting for freedom. They pretty much had the same values. They were both trying to do what was right in the sight of God. They both battled with courage for what they knew was expedient for everybody. They both gathered followers and support for their efforts, and they were both very determined and steadfast. They were pretty fierce in their own personality kind of way, but wow. And then what is a Christian and professional family advocate and how did Wilbur exemplify that? I think that he exemplified it because he worked within allowed parameters within the eyes of God and the law. It was not just like his friend that was trying to get him to start a revolt, the revolution like in France. Um, Wilbur was like, no, that is not the way. I had a pledge to the king, and he meant to keep that pledge, so he was looking to do things without hurting his integrity. And as advocates, we need to do the same thing, find ways in which we can be effective without hurting our integrity because who's going to trust us. Um, also, advocates need to be true to their pledge too in doing what is best for others. Um, they should not take desperate measures at desperate times. I think the friend was just desperate, because sorry, it was a hard time. We He was also willing to wait for the long haul, and we also need to be patient. He also wanted things done right, and we need to do things right too. Um, he waited for a decade, and did not give in to those desperate measures of revolting or whatever. I think many times it's not courage that drives us to take the path of contention to war, but rather just being desperate and impatient. Um, and how can you be effective and Christ-like against such loud and often degrading voices? I this touches into a point that you already sort of talked about of what you can learn from being in a group, which is find the support of family and friends that can keep you strong and positive. When Wilbur got married, he found some new renewed strength from his new wife. Pray for strength, back for it, and as we said, understand the opposition, because as it's said in one of our lessons, we cannot assume that we have the higher moral ground, because the opposition also feels they have the moral ground, and we have to be understanding of that. We have to understand that, what they're fighting for, they're maybe not doing it, because they want to be disobedient. They're doing it, for a concern that they have. And we need to be respectful of that. So we need to be compassionate in our speaking, and if we show compassion, people will be more drawn to us than if we are contentious, And I think most people want to be around the peaceful, happy person than around the contentious person.
Okay.
So that's what I had for that.
Yeah, along with what you were saying, it reminded me of when you were talking about how there's reasons for what other people believe in. We don't necessarily have we need to be gracious and kind. It just reminded me of this class that I had, and I think it was actually a parenting class, where we talked about how if you look from the viewpoint of that person, you'll be able to better understand where they're coming from. And so usually if you do look from their viewpoint, everything seems rational, and not necessarily rational, but more logical. And how, I guess, looking from other people's perspectives, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to agree with them, but just looking from their perspectives will help us understand people better and still show that compassion. And I don't know, I think by creating friends that way, you can have a better mutual respect of each other, and I feel like that way you get farther in advocating for your cause. So.
Okay, I guess I'll read the next one. So Marcia Barlow spoke on persuasive speaking and writing. Wilbur and others exemplified many of Marcia's ideas herself. After the incident of the short guy, trying to offer his slave a statement, Wilbur, rather than calling him names or whatever, his friend helped him put himself together, and then he goes and dedicates a song to this little short fellow, and it's the song Amazing Grace, and he talks about the story of the song. I think in that, in singing the song, he's telling the story of us that Marcia Barlow speaks about. As the song, kind of carries the guilt, that the one feels when participating in slavery, and how it can eat away your spirit. So in singing the song, rather than acting angry, I think he's showing gentleness and he's showing grace, and most importantly, he's touching people's hearts, which is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I guess what I had for that one, for Marcia Barlow's um, I guess, how Wilbur showed her ideas. He engaged his audience. So I thought it was interesting that when they tried to pass that law about the ship's flags, the French ship flags, and so they'd be able to stop more of the slave trade, how they chose a guy that no one would listen to because he was boring. And so, I don't know, just kind of the difference in speaking with that one guy and Wilbur. Wilbur was very, he spoke with enthusiasm and passion for his topic, and I don't know, he always got everyone's attention. So I don't know, he didn't drone on and on and on about, oh, we should do this, we should do this. It was like, no, like, this needs to change. And so that was like something that I thought, followed her ideas. He also used the personal stories with Equiano, the ship, the Madagascar ship with the slaves, and then also John from the church with the song Amazing Grace. So yeah, so just having personal stories that, like you said, touch their hearts, which would have a greater impact than, being angry and just accusing instead of like trying to do it in a gracious way. Okay, so what role did the government policy and religious freedom play in the fight of the slave trade? Did you see their political system being pro-family? Why or why not? Okay, so the government, let's see. So the role that the government played, I think, was allowing them to vote and actually being able to have a voice to say, hey, this needs to change. Because in other governments that wouldn't have been allowed. It would have been like, oh, well, sorry, you can't speak, or you will be sent to jail for speaking out, or you could be killed for speaking out. And so the government had the environment where they could speak out and be like, okay, let's vote on this, let's change how we're doing this. Also, there was the religious freedom played a role. Because kind of the same with the government. He had the right to stand up for what he believed in, and could do that even though people opposed him. So, and for the political system being pro-family, I think it was partially pro-family. I'm sure that with everything else, they were looking, for the better of looking to do what's best for the people. But at the same time, they still allowed, slavery and like the mistreatment of people that was not right. And so I think they can only say halfway pro family because they didn't believe in that equality that everyone deserves the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yep.
Okay. I have similar answers to yours. For what role did the government policy and religious freedom play in the fight of the slavery trade? Is the government was flexible enough to allow for needed changes. Some policies made it more difficult, and other policies made it easier. So it's kind of ironic. Once you think out of the box, you can use certain policies that may seem against you for you, like the flags that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I think religious freedom had a lot to do with the fight on the slave trade because if you are a fully converted Christian, then you believe the doctrine, that all men are created equal and that they all should have equal opportunity, and so one man should not be above the other. And if men were not free to act in accordance to the religion of their choosing and their conscience, then they would not be able to come to come to the conclusion that slavery is bad on their own. You know, I mean, they could, you know, but it wouldn't be as predominant because, in a way, you know, you're a slave to a religion if you cannot choose it. So it's harder to see where others are being slaves, I guess. Um, do you see the political system being for family? Why or why not? To me, it was for family because if you think about slavery um, and individuals being sold, then you also have to put together that these individuals belong to families once, and that these families were being ripped apart when they were sold to different owners. So, in a way, you know, if they abolished slavery, these families could stay together instead of being separated by being sold. In another way too, which is, I guess, a more cruel way of making uh, of the realities that they had to live is that I mean, the slaves were property, you know. So if the owner of a slave wanted to live with a slave girl, he could because it was her property, you know, and he couldn't violate, you know, a human being that was free, but one that wasn't could, you know. And if this man was married, I mean, can you imagine what that would do to the marriage as well? Um, so I do see it as, you know, being implicated in being for family, you know. Um,
Mhm.
anything you want to add?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, so I guess I'll go to the next one. Okay, do you feel that Wilbur used his time on Earth well? How did you see him showing the elements of consecration that Elder Christopherson spoke of? So Elder Christopherson said, life offers you two precious gifts. One is time, the other one, freedom of choice. So our time is sacred, you know. I think that if we give our time to the purposes of God, we are consecrating our time to God. So Wilbur did consecrate his life to God, fighting for freedom. You know, I think that is consecrating your life to God. Um, um, so he used his time wisely. Um, so the four elements were purity, work, service, and integrity. And his intent were pure. It wasn't about him, it was about others. Um, work. He was dedicated in his efforts, working really hard in all he could to make a sacred purpose come to pass. Um, he, he respected, you know, his limitations. At times, there were others that he still felt that he needed to do it, but I guess his friends helped him realize that he needed to stay in bed. Um, and service, he was obviously always in the service of others, always helping where he could. Um, integrity, he was honest in his dealings with men. He spoke the truth. He didn't get his support based on deceit and lies, but in preaching the horrible truth about slavery. And he was completely committed to the cause, you know. And going back to the example I already used of him not accepting this slave as payment, you know, that shows a lot about his integrity.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so some of the things that I had thought of was, I don't know, that one part of the movie where he said that he had a calling that he had failed to do. I guess it was kind of like the whole in between while I was doing the flashbacks and in the present day, and how he was starting to get sick, and he was just like, I failed. And he was just like, yeah, I know this was something I was supposed to do, and I didn't do it. And so, I don't know, but he knew that's what he was supposed to do, and so he kept trying, but with, with the help and support of, his wife and, other people around him saying that, this is something that you need to do. And so, and he knew that. He knew that, if he didn't say something, like, he would. And so, let's see. Yeah, something that I got, I think this was the right Christofferson stuff, but something that stuck out to me in his talk was, it's not enough for you or me to be somewhat less wicked than others. So that example that you said about with the poker game, like, he took the higher road, and he didn't settle for being just a little better than the others. He, decided that, I'm really, like, this is something I believe in, and so I'm not going to be a part of this. And so, I think that was something else that, he was called to do with also including integrity with that. And so, like, the question, do you feel that Wilbur used his time on Earth well? Yeah, I think he did. He accomplished what he set out to do. And he, yeah, got slavery abolished, and so, yeah, so I would say that was accomplishing, used his time on Earth well, yeah. Okay, so the next question then? Okay. So, any other profound thoughts or personal insights from the movie that are related to child and family advocacy? So there's a few things that stood out to me. One of the big ones was that, okay, so this is just what I have written down, but it just says, Wilbur was not afraid to take a stand against his friends, peers, or society. So I just really admired that he had the courage to speak so boldly and stick to his beliefs and standards, like, in front of everyone. So when people saw him, they knew right off who he was and what he stood for, and that he was bold in his speaking, and he wasn't gonna let pressure from the world stop him from doing what he knew was right. And so, I don't know, as advocating for the children and family, I think that's so important, because family and children are so important, and they, are the center of the plan of happiness. And so, it's the importance of that, we need to be bold in our advocating for them. And so I think he was a perfect example for that. Okay, so something else that I thought during the movie is that if we just stand by and not say anything, then we are almost as guilty as just agreeing with it and going along with what people are doing. And I love that example that you brought up about, the poker game. So he didn't go along with it, and he wasn't afraid of offending anyone. He stood up for his beliefs, even though it wasn't the cool thing to do. And then he spoke up for those who, like, didn't have a voice in the parliament and the government, and who couldn't, speak for themselves. So those were the things that I got out of the movie, and, relating to child and family advocacy.
Yeah, those are really good ones. Some of them I didn't consider before. To me, it kind of showed me the reality of how difficult the process of advocating and getting results is. And not only difficult, but tedious and tiring too, I guess. We need to keep this in mind, because in this world now, the ones of the adults are placed above all else, trumping the rights of the children. So as we could see in the movie, people will fight fiercely for their land. You know, they wanted the commodity of their slaves. They wanted the commodity of making all this money without having to pay labor. You know, I mean, so yes, they will fight seriously for the land. So we have to keep a straight mind that it is about what others need. You know, what is right. We need to find other ways to solve issues. We also need to be cautious because just like Wilbur's team was able to treat um, the opposite team, you know, who knows if the other teams could treat us. So we need to keep our eyes open and make sure of where something is leading before we agree to anything. Um, we not only need to be patient and diligent and gentle, um, full of faith and passion, but fully foresight as well. You know, I guess that's where it comes in being guarded. Um, I think that's mainly what I got out of it. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. So I'll move to the next question. Um, what was your understanding of the doctrine of the family at the beginning of the semester, and how has it changed? Um, I don't feel that my understanding on the doctrine per se has changed that much. I think the doctrine, you know, is pretty basic, and you either accept it or you don't accept it. But I think my perspective on how necessary it is to defend that doctrine has expanded exponentially. I mean, I knew the family was under attack. I knew we needed to defend it, but I didn't know to what degree. You know, and now I know that I think I have better grasp of the degree that we need to defend it. That it is way more under attack than I ever thought of before. You know, like I didn't really see that before. Maybe because we are always trying to see the good things, so we don't have to worry about, you know, the bad things. But like this has really opened my eyes as to, oh wow, it is way worse than I thought. You know, yes, we know it's bad, but to start grasping to what degree, wow, that was the main thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before this semester, I don't know, I just felt like I knew that we needed to advocate for the family, as the apostles and prophets have told us, and how that was really important. But I just felt like it was kind of hopeless. Like there wasn't, like there's just kind of like the people that were speaking against the family are, I don't know, their voices are so loud that I'm just like, okay, like how can we even like get started in this? Like, is it even like kind of worth trying? Like, and I knew that the family like was important and that like we needed to do this, but it's just like, okay, like how do we get started? And so after this class, like it's just like, no, like one person can make a difference. And also I learned that, you know, we're not as alone as we think we are. I don't know, I just like before the class I always thought that, you know, okay, we're like the only ones that believe in this stuff. But like no, there's so many people that like want to advocate for the family, and just like figuring out how to do that is kind of the roadblock that we have to get past, and then after that, you know, we can accomplish anything. And and something else that I learned is it starts in the home. As long as we are teaching to advocate in the home, and like teaching our kids that you know, we need to stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves, and you know, stop bullying, stop, you know, all these other things that are going on, like stop wrongdoings, and you know, standing up for people, and kind of getting them started in, okay, we need to stand up for what we believe in, and so just having it start in the home, start small, I think was another thing that really stood out to me. Do you have anything to add? Okay. Okay, so then I guess the last question. Picture your spouse and children, current or future, and write down some thoughts about how they will benefit from you taking the class. Okay, so some of the things I thought of for my future family is that this class has kind of changed the type of mother I will be. I don't know, I always knew that family comes first, but after this class, it kind of is drilled into me even more that family is number one, and we need to support it, and I don't know, so just family comes first in all things, I think, for me. And just how I will teach my children will be different, and just how I teach them about the family and how to share their beliefs on the family to others that might not believe the same. And be an example to my children of a family advocate, so that kids learn by example. So by being that example, that would be best. So that's what I have.
Okay, so for me, um, I really couldn't come up with anything about myself because I can make because I think he does a lot better than I do. You know, he's more avid than me in taking a stance for the family. When we had to go knock door to door to pull numbers of Proposition 8, he was very good at doing it. He was just open about it and would, um, ask people what he needed to ask and take information he needed to take. Um, and I I just wasn't as effective as he was, you know. Um, and the saddest part is he couldn't really help me because the deal was he would do all the English speakers and I would do all the Spanish speakers because he doesn't speak Spanish. So, you know, so I just tried to learn from him from what he was doing with the English speakers and how he was moving through the whole process in the polling door to door. And little by little, I got better, but it was really hard for me because I don't like talking to strangers that I don't know how they're gonna treat me when they open that door. you know. Um, but to him, like he didn't care, he was just there doing his duty, and he was happy with doing his duty. Didn't matter how everybody else was gonna react. So in that way, to me, it's like that is the example that I can take from him. I don't see how I can help him more in that sense. you know. So um, as far as my children, I think that they could gain a lot of more perspective, from taking a class like this, um, about the fundamentals of the Heavenly Father's plans and how He designed the family and why He designed it that way. I do talk to my older son, he's 9, about things like this a lot, because he goes to school and he has questions, and there's always, you know, I am glad that he's the kind of kid that asks questions and comes to me for anything, and I think that is a great way, because as we said, it does start in the home. You know, they're still too young to take the class, but I think um, I would like them to to take the class, and hopefully I prepare them well, you know, for the class. I am trying to. Um, um, and I think the class helped me to have some ideas on how to encourage them strengthen them to understand the family and how to advocate for it, because it's going to be on their shoulders. As time progresses, things are probably going to get worse rather than better, and we have to raise them strong and raise them confident and with a clear view of what is right and what is wrong and why it is that way. At the same time, remaining Christ-like and understanding, that people don't do these things because they're wicked. People do these things because they are trying to be understanding of others. But just because you're trying to understand someone else doesn't mean that what you're doing is right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yep.
how old
Okay.
are you at?
Well, 21.
Okay,
Yeah.
you look young.
Yep. 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 Well, I think. I think is that everything?
I think so. I
Okay.
think we got 45 minutes plus. So.
Okay. Cool. Well, it was a good discussion. Do you have anything else to add to
Um,
anything?
no, I think we're good. What about you?
Yeah, I think we're good. So,
Okay. So how do we turn this in?
okay. So I'm going to stop the broadcast. Let's see.